Most of the veterans coming home today have a lot of the symptoms of PTSD. What they're coming home with is normal for anyone who's been in a war zone.
What we call post-traumatic stress disorder today can best be conceptualized as a failed rite of passage. Military service itself is a rite of passage. Youths are taken out of the culture. Their civilian identity is taken apart. Their heads are shaved. Their personalities are broken down. And then the military replaces it with a military mindset and all of the practices necessary for soldiering and also for killing. And through this intensive training and through the ordeals of military service and combat, they are transformed from thinking about me, myself, what I want, what I need, what gratifies me, to putting the me aside and entering into the collective we, where we serve the greater good. Family, friends, neighbors, the society. And then we tell people, now it's time to go home, you're done, find your way home, and it's all on you. You're released, run home to your family and make it in civilian culture. That is essentially abandoning the initiate in the middle of his rite of passage. We don't give them the ingredients to complete the initiation and to rehumanize them after the dehumanizing experiences of both training and deployment.
You've been impacted to the point where you look at life differently. You've had experiences that the average citizen has never had, yet you're expected to assimilate back into the current culture as if your wartime experience has never happened.
It's very difficult for someone who has had so much of their life be structured to come back into a world where there's so many choices and so much going on. It's physically and emotionally overwhelming.
So the question is not so much do they have diagnosable PTSD, but that they do have some traumatic experiences that they have to process in some way. They can't just go home and believe that they'll be able to resume their life as usual.
If they can engineer me one way to fulfill this job, that means we can also reverse engineer you the other way. It's totally possible to do.
Not to have any process that helps veterans to reintegrate themselves in society and society to welcome back the veterans is very dangerous across cultures and across different times in history. Warriors could not go right back into society as if nothing had happened, and they have to do a particular process, a ritual, spiritual process, so they could be reintegrated with the rest of their tribe.
The wounds we call PTSD and moral injury. They're in the Bible, they're in ancient Greek and Roman literature. The indigenous cultures of the world knew all these wounds, but they didn't call them psychological disorders and throw meds at them. They called them spiritual wounds that everybody was responsible for.
Purification after battle is some sort of human universal. It's ideally done by the whole community.
It's all of us recognizing that we have a role to play in honoring these troops. And it's not just accolades, and it's not just parades, and it's not just memorials. It's in terms of seeing that they really get the support and help that they need.
It's not just decompression, it's to to construct a community of meaning for what they've just been through. The path to recovery is through communalization of the trauma.
They acted on behalf of a country of people. And so when that country says, yes, we'll help hold that, that becomes very important, because now they're no longer isolated. It's no longer valueless, worthless. Why did I do that? And it's like, oh yeah, it does matter. And there is gratitude for that.
If you're just present and really respectful and wanting to hear what people want to share, and then you're really listening, that's a gift we can offer. There's so much hunger to be witnessed, to be seen and heard for what their own authentic experience is. And I've been so touched by what I've learned from veterans. That brings me to tears.
We civilians need to listen and try to learn what they experienced and what they learned in the process about what it means to be human.
There's a lot of shame, often connected with things that go along with war and the military, and actions that are against core value systems for many. And so forgiving themselves can sometimes be very, very difficult.
If you learn to reframe your experiences in a positive light, there may actually be benefits to be gained from that trauma. So they're not necessarily negative experiences, but they're experiences that are necessary given where you were and what you were charged to do. But now you're no longer in that place physically or mentally, and now we need to get you to a point where you can find enjoyment in life again.
Even as we hold the space for people to touch trauma and touch really painful things, connected to that is the capacity to touch joy.
It's an entirely different experience when it's a whole community, a whole group of people, veterans and civilians, who are saying, we hold you. We love you. Unconditionally, we love you. We hear what you did. We understand the circumstance of what you did. And we see your innocence. And we see who you are at the core of your being. And we love you and we care about you. That's what helps to heal that trauma. And that's where they can begin to experience the joy again.
This is an Eskimo ritual. When two members in an Eskimo village really don't like each other anymore and they're trying to hurt each other, the entire village gets together and makes a big circle and puts the two antagonists in the middle. And the village says to them, you're not leaving until this violence is all spent. And there's no secrets. The whole village knows these two had it out for each other and why, and the whole village knows that all the violence is dissipated and it's over. The best way to conceive of the work we do as healers is that we become initiators, trying to help them complete the journey that had been cut off.
A lot of the therapists and counselors, many of them don't have a clue, sadly, about what it means to take the hand of a vet and walk back into the experience of war, of combat, and feel that pain. We train therapists not to go there. They're to maintain their distance. That's not what happens in this work. We go there. And I'll tell them, I'll walk with you into the darkness, and I promise you I'll bring you back out.
The image of the professional as a blank screen who has no reactions is a disaster. If you feel like crying, weep. The veterans will not reject you and scorn you for that. They will regard you as really being there.
Cognitive behavioral therapy revolves around reframing experiences. Say, for instance, in the case of feeling guilty that they didn't do enough to protect a person, helping them understand that there wasn't anything they could have done that would have protected that person. When that convoy got hit with RPGs, it was beyond their control. They couldn't have evaded the attack, and it wasn't their fault that their comrade died, and that you're going to honor your comrade by the way that you live the rest of your life.
Only after going through this rite of return, this rite of passage, to mark the transition from the time of service as a warrior to re-entry into community, after this war detox, after this spiritual cleansing, these service members contain gifts, contain wisdom, absolutely paramount to the long-term survival and sustainability of the community at large.
So it's not so much that you are going to live in the past as it is that you're going to use the past to shape a future into one that can have more benefit to others around you.
We can heal PTSD, and through love and proper concern and caring human relationship, we can heal and come home together. And even the most alienated and wounded of us can be healed.
Service members struggling through their transition back home no longer have a mission.
Working a 40-hour work week doesn't seem of value. Sitting at a desk pushing paper doesn't have the same importance as defending your country.
Not being able to answer the questions, who am I? What is my purpose? And what gifts do I have to share with my community after service is a very, very dark place.
The consumer society that we are, the 140 different types of toothpaste in the grocery store, is crazy making for the vets for multiple different reasons. One of them is I put my life on the line so that you can be greedy and have all this stuff and all these things and not care about other people. I cared enough to do this. How can you not care about each other? That is a factor in how the vets choose to live their lives and dropping out of society, and some to the extent of homelessness by choice.
The number one question I ask veterans when they're getting out is, hey, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? And the number one answer is, man, I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. They don't even know what their purpose they're going to fill for the rest of their life is. So they're going to depart an organization where they had purpose and trust and friendship. They're going to be told they're broken on the way out the door, and they're going to be stuck in a foreign environment in which they don't know what they're going to do for the rest of their lives.
When they come out and they do programs like Healing Warrior Hearts, we talk with them a bit. We don't give them a mission, so to speak, but we say, you know, what are you going to do now?
Service members are very mission-oriented because that's part of their training as well. It's an important and positive learned behavior that can benefit society in a number of ways, and it can help them feel that they are really helping to make a difference.
I work with homeless veterans. So that's my mission. And I could sleep well at night knowing that I'm making a difference. So in many ways, there are a lot of parallels between my current mission and the mission I had while serving in the Marine Corps. I am serving my community. I no longer struggle with suicidal thoughts.
I want to educate every woman in Afghanistan. Well, how many women is that? Well, by our basic math, it's 3.1 million women. Am I going to be able to educate 3.1 million women in my lifetime? Probably not. But I'm going to put a decent dent in it, and I'm going to be satisfied with that.
My biggest wish for veterans is that we create a whole national system of reverse boot camps, and we spend as much time bringing people home in isolation with all kinds of cultural and community-based and spiritual and ritual support, and reprogramming, rehumanizing, proof that we can heal even our deepest human wounds through human means.
I hope that every single man and woman who has ever served in uniform, who's ever initiated into service on behalf of our nation, has an opportunity and is provided a clear pathway to a program so that they can war detox, so that they can spiritually cleanse, so that they can reclaim their whole self. That's my hope.
While things are so difficult outside in the streets around the world now, this work gives me great hope, really great hope. We can transcend and heal the worst pains that we've caused ourselves and each other.
I'm sorry.